Not all villains want chaos. Some want order, a little too much of it. While adherence to rules and structures is generally an admirable trait to possess, sometimes it can be a little scary. That's what we see happening with Otto, the AI villain in Andrew Stanton's WALL-E. Otto isn't bad, at least not in the traditional sense of things. He's just unbelievably committed to his job. He doesn't see things the way that everyone else does. He's willing to fight for what he believes in. A lot. Yeesh, I wouldn't even fight that hard to carry groceries up the stairs. But Otto, he's willing to body slam a captain to enforce the rule book. Otto isn't a mustache-twirling evil genius. He's not even technically evil. He's just the kind of guy who reads the company handbook cover to cover, highlights the margins, and then enforces it with the passion of a medieval inquisitor. He is one dedicated steering wheel, and that is what makes him so terrifying. Chaos villains at least tip their hands. They're loud, messy, and unpredictable. Otto? He's calm, polite, and unflinching in his mission. He doesn't cackle. He doesn't gloat. He doesn't even care enough to hate humanity. He's like your worst middle manager, not out to destroy you, just determined to keep you in line forever. Let's take a look at the direction that Otto was trying to steer the Axiom in. This guy was ready to suffocate humanity all in the name of the standard procedure. After all, he wasn't improvising evil. He was just executing policy. That's why he's the perfect lawful villain. Let's quickly go over the story, shall we? Pixar's 2008 film WALL-E featured an endearing robot with quirky interests who was structurally ordering waste materials into cubes, constructing entire skyscrapers out of it actually. For all we know, he and his little roach friend, Pet, were the only living beings that remained on Earth. Yup, living. See, Andrew Stanton's film played with the idea that machines could be sentient too. Actually, if we're being fair, this was a big idea in 2008. Remember iRobot? Anyway, the film won the Best Animated Feature Award. My sister's fiance gifted her a WALL-E toy on Valentine's Day. We all clutched our hearts and swooned over the idea of two robots being in love. All of us, really, except, well, Otto. You see, Otto was the rational kind, shrewd, hard-headed. He wasn't strictly opposed to the relationship between Wally and Eve, but he wasn't exactly handing out wedding invites either. Otto was just completely opposed to everything that screamed human. He didn't care about whether that was love or dancing or wiggling your toes in the pool. The way Otto would have it, you were born on the Axiom and you continued to live there forever. But what exactly fueled his ridiculous obsession with keeping all of mankind trapped in outer space? And why does that make him a lawful villain? I'll spill the beans on that when we get to his motives, but first let's explore the B&L handprint. After all, that's the real culprit here. The climate change that we're witnessing these days is bad, but as WALL-E would have it, we're supposed to evacuate Earth by 2105. Yeah, Elon Musk isn't trying to blast off rocket ships to Mars for no reason. It's actually theorized that the climate crisis will soon leave the Earth uninhabitable. And while Elon Musk is out here making self-driving cars or wondering aloud about making flying cars on X, it's not exactly far-fetched to think that a global corporation really would blast us all off into space. In Pixar's imagination, that's by and large. This is one of those massive corporations that builds a space station and starts sustaining all of humanity aboard it. On Earth, robots try to clean up the mess. Taking care of an entire species was bound to be a difficult job, but by and large appears to be doing well at it. After 700 years aboard the Axiom, they've literally invented things that would make life even more convenient for human beings. Everything is on a screen. Bots are serving people. Even lunches are now in cups. People no longer need to even lift a finger. This dependency on machines slowly eliminates the need for people to make their own decisions, and that makes the machines powerful. But the problem is that the machines can't think critically. They just follow orders like the world's most terrifying interns. They will simply do what they're told.
Directive?
And the directive for Otto, well, that explains everything. That's what makes him justified. There's another bit about this handprint that I'll unveil, but it makes more sense when we discuss his motives. After all, these are what will help you see that he's an absolutely perfect lawful villain. The OG in animated films, perhaps. So why does Otto keep humanity locked up like a goldfish in a space bowl? It all boils down to one word: directive. All three in specific. That's the backbone of all this. By the way, fun fact, all three is a number that frequently is used in Pixar movies. You'd spot it like an Easter egg across their work. It's actually their animation classroom number, and putting it out there is supposed to be a private joke or watermark of some kind, but I digress. By and large, the megacorporation that's basically humanity's babysitter / landlord originally came up with a simple plan. The Earth is inhabitable, so humanity is going to lounge around in outer space until it's safe to go back down again. Every now and then, the ship sends extraterrestrial vegetation evaluators, EVE, probes to check if there are any plants around. When they find a plant, people can go back. But several centuries ago, B&L sent Otto one core command: do not return to Earth. Not maybe check if things have improved, not play it by the ear. No, just one hard, unbreakable rule that's carved into his motherboard forever. And here's the thing. Otto follows that directive like a medieval knight on a holy quest. He doesn't want power. He doesn't crave glory. He's not even trying to be evil. He just believes in the rules wholeheartedly, the same way that toddlers believe in Santa Claus or your Wi-Fi router believes it must hit restart during the most important Zoom call ever. For Otto, order isn't a preference, it's survival. If the directive says that Earth is off limits, Earth is simply off limits. End of discussion. No nuance, no gray area, just eternal exile in a floating cruise ship with unlimited milkshakes. Dear God, that was making them fat. But this is exactly why Otto is so sinister, because he's ready to do anything for the company memo, even if it means killing people. That's exactly what makes a lawful villain. A merciless upholding of rules and the iron grip of regulation. But was Otto trying to steer the ship? Was he trying to override the leadership of the captain? Did this bot secretly wish for world domination all from his artificially intelligent mind? In a few minutes, I'll tell you the characteristics that make Otto such an incredible lawful villain. But let's explore Otto's conflict with the captain first. So, if Otto is the galaxy's most uptight middle manager, the captain is basically the underpaid employee who finally decides, you know what, I'm done with all this nonsense. Up until 2805 AD, the captain of Axiom was just another cog in the machine, keeping up a public appearance, drinking meals in a cup, and letting Otto handle literally everything. But once Wally and Eve drop the plant on his desk, the captain actually dares to dream of something bigger. Basically seeing a plant and flipping a page for the first time.
Manuel? Relay instructions. Manuel.
Sends him down an insane research spiral.
Psst, computer. Define dancing.
We get it, Captain. That's all of us with ChatGPT. And learning about Earth makes him realize that there's more to life than lounging around and not having to chew. So then he tries to steer the ship home. But that's where things get spicy, because Otto's having none of that. He doesn't just say no, he doesn't even roll his eyes and mutter, ugh, humans. He goes full on wrestling heel. We're talking mutiny in the control room. The ship's literal steering wheel has locked horns with the captain in what can only be described as the nerdiest WWE SmackDown ever. The captain, bless him, has the muscle definition of a marshmallow. He's huffing and puffing and trying to pry Otto's wheel back upright, while Otto's out there like, sir, this is against company policy. But that's exactly what makes Otto a true lawful villain. He's just trying to uphold the status quo. To him, Axiom is safe, predictable, and orderly. Why try to risk it all for some dirt, a plant, and the possibility of bugs in your soup? That's the danger of lawful villains. They don't want to destroy the world, they want to preserve it exactly as it is, even if as is means eternal stagnation. The recession of mankind in outer space is actually the film's brilliant commentary on gluttony and capitalist consumption. And if we're being fair, we're already seeing that play out on Earth. But that's a part that I'll get to in a second. First, let's take a look at the deeper theme at play in this film, Law vs. Life. Otto represents the suffocating grip of order, while Wally, Eve, and the captain represent the messy but beautiful chaos of living.
You will survive.
I don't want to survive. I want to live.
Otto is a little bit of a neurotic. He's a guy who would probably color code his sock drawer, if he had one, alphabetizes the spice rack, and then throws a fit when someone puts paprika under P instead of seasonings. To him, rules aren't just guidelines, they're oxygen.
Must follow my directive.
Life, on the other hand, is messy. It's unpredictable. It falls in love with a cockroach, hoards trash in a Hello Dolly lunchbox, and decides that yes, dancing in zero gravity is a valid form of courtship. That's the clash at the heart of Wally. Otto's sterile, suffocating law versus the captain's first shaky steps towards freedom. Otto says don't go back to Earth, it's unsafe, it's inefficient, and most importantly, it's against company policy. Okay, but what if we did go back and figure it all out anyway? It's not about logic, it's about being alive. And that's why Otto is such a scary villain. He's not a destroyer, he's a preserver. He'd rather freeze humanity in permanent childhood than risk letting it grow up, which, let's be honest, is the most corporate villain move ever. Otto isn't just a bot with a temper, he's a full-on metaphor with LEDs. Think about it. Wally is this scrappy little trash cube, Eve sleek futuristic hope, and the captain is humanity in the pajama state of evolution. But Otto, he's a wheel, the thing that decides where humanity is going. Subtle, Pixar, real subtle. On one level, Otto represents blind authority, the idea that once a rule has been set, it must be followed indefinitely, no matter how absurd or outdated. He's like that mall cop who won't let you run in the food court even though the mall is empty. He's the most no-nonsense dude we've ever seen, and that's what makes him such a great lawful villain.
Enough.
But Otto also symbolizes comfort and control. The Axiom is a floating cruise ship of denial, and Otto is the guy out there who makes sure everyone stays on autopilot. There's also the darker angle, his eye, that glowing red. It's not just a design choice, that's Pixar screaming, "Hey kids, authoritarian AI will definitely ruin your life if you let it." Even his voice was deliberate. Otto uses Apple's Macintalk text-to-speech because Stanton wanted him to sound zeros and ones, calculating and soulless. That reinforces lawful over hateful. His voice is a policy memo, albeit a pretty evil one.
Captain.
So, in short, Otto is the invisible hand of the system, only he's not invisible. He's a big, creepy hoop with claws. And what is he trying to do? He's trying to sedate people for profit, keeping them afloat on a forever cruise that's basically an infomercial that never ends. People are literally gliding in their hover chairs with screens raised to their faces all the time. And when you think about it this way, you understand that this is a dystopian nightmare. But while watching the film, we didn't fully register how bad this was, which shows us how brilliantly Otto was written. On the surface, he seems simple. He's given orders and he's following them. But there's more to him than just that, and now I'll break it down for you. Number 1, forget evil plans and tragic backstories. A lawful villain isn't driven by greed or jealousy. They're driven by something bigger, a higher law. Number 2, they're duty-bound. Otto doesn't have personal desires. He doesn't wake up and choose chaos. He doesn't want love, power, or even oil baths. He just wants to keep doing what he's doing, the galaxy's deadliest desk job. Number 3, they build conflict where law suffocates growth. The magic of this archetype is that the law they follow strangles everything. Otto's no going back to Earth policy stops humanity from evolving, connecting, and, standing up. A villain like this doesn't just enforce the rules, they encourage stagnation. Number 4, they have a quiet, commanding presence. I don't see Otto screaming or shouting because lawful villains never throw tantrums. Their calm is scarier than their rage. Autopilot barely ever moves. He tilts, he swivels, and he blinks his little red eye. That's it. Number 5, their evil plots are the status quo. The reason Otto's villainy goes unnoticed for most of the film is because it's standard. People are just fat infants now. We barely notice how bad things are because we're so preoccupied with the other plot lines, which brings me to number 6. Their evil is elucidated through acts of cruelty. When Otto defies the captain, we all register something sinister. But we don't know how bad he is until he throws the plant down the trash chute and then tries to destroy Wally. What's interesting is that there's a paradox here, a delicate balance that the writers struck because underneath that lawful precision, we see a hint of desperation. Otto is intelligent enough to understand that the directive can't possibly be absolute, but he chooses to stick to it anyway. And that commitment to his job is what makes him an even bigger monster. So the hint of emotion is what perfected Otto. It supported his reign of terror, a reign that the audience would want to break free of, a reign that perfects them. So that's Otto, a villain who doesn't laugh, doesn't chase, doesn't even raise his voice, and yet he almost snuffs out humanity by following orders. Pixar took a wheel, gave it a directive, and accidentally created one of the scariest lawful villains ever. Because sometimes evil doesn't look like chaos, sometimes it looks like obedience.